Who is the most unexpected person you had sex with? College crush, hot workout girl at the gym. Saw her every day for 2 years. I worked there and worked out daily. Had a rule about not hitting on women at the gym, but told myself the first time I saw her at a campus bar I'd ask her out. The entire gym crew was obsessed with her. She was a 10-10. One night 2 weeks before graduation I saw her at a bar I frequent. She was in a sorority and I was independent, so I literally was never in the same place as her. Except this night, I start pushing my way through the crowd. She starts walking to the door. She leaves. I assume that was it. Very next week, same night, she is there again. I make it to her, ask her out. Unbelievably she says yes. We go out the next night. We spend the night and sleep together. It was amazing. We dated for 2 weeks. Had an insane connection. She was an amazing woman, totally into me, good listener, normal, everything I've never had. We looked at wedding rings on our 4th date, jokingly, but still. She finds out she's moving to SF for a job. She asks me to move with her. I just got into grad school, so I decided to stay. We break up and move on. It is something that I regret to this day. The girl who was leaving my flat after we both said that we should wait until next time, kissed goodbye, turned into us ravaging each other, going back upstairs, and banging. I never saw her again, so good thing we did it then. My hairdresser, we hit it off during my haircut and she gave me an extended head massage while shampooing my hair. That is when I got the picture and made sure to get her number. She was in her 30s and I was 22 at the time. Went over to her place a few nights later. Felt like I was in a porno since she was my hairdresser, but it quickly turned less fun. First she insisted on videotaping it, which was not too crazy. Figured she just had something for being videotaped. Then mid-thrust she insisted I take the condom off and kept telling me to buy the house we were doing it in. Noped out of there fairly quickly after we were done. This girl I met at a festival. First at random or not. She later admitted she approached me because she liked the look of me, and we later turned out to have mutual acquaintances, so we were hanging out and we hit it off pretty well. First time I slept with someone within 24 hours of meeting them. We dated for a year afterward. Apparently it was not so unexpected to a few of my friends, but I really did not see it coming until we kissed. Basically, friend of mine in college who I always thought was cute but not my type. We were friends for a couple years and one day senior year she very bluntly suggests that she and I should sleep together. She said she found me attractive and thought why not. We weren't romantic or anything. Do not regret it one bit. It was the most no strings attached thing I've ever experienced. She left for London on a semester abroad the next week. We still friendly to this day. A high school buddy of mine who I had thought was hot but got over because he had other girls on his mind and I thought he was immature and rowdy. Never expected us to hook up, but about 2 years after graduation we crossed paths at a memorial bonfire for a friend, his good friend love interest, and when it was over for some ungodly reason we went back to my place and got drunk and hooked up. It was not very good sex, to be honest. Can't you imagine why? I nailed the guy every girl in high school wanted. He was the James Dean of my high school, handsome as duck, too cool, skater kid. Hardly spoke. When he did, it was always the perfect thing to say. Every girl tried to talk and flirt with him. He didn't even notice or look anyone in the eye. I thought he was super hot, but I was a year younger, shy. Never thought I'd have a shot. One night we were all drinking at his friend's house. Everyone is hooking up. We all decide to pile in an SUV and go to Denny's. This was the only thing open at 2 a.m. and was the town drunk teenager hangout. Everyone gets out of the car. I thought I was the last to get out. My drunk ass is busy dreaming of coffee and hash browns, when he suddenly pulls me into the back seat with him. We stayed in that SUV ducking for 2 hours. Oh my god. Hardly said a word to each other. I couldn't walk the whole next day. Jesus, it was a dream come true. He was the holy grail out of nowhere. In college I got partnered with this one girl. She was that kind of girl that is hot and smart and has developed an obnoxious superiority complex because of it. We had a project to do, and because of our schedules the only time we were both free to work on it was Friday night. So already we are both kinda upset with each other over ruining any weekend plans. There we are in her apartment, Her roommate was out enjoying her Friday night, and we were there working on a school project. The frustration was palpable. We were butting heads on almost everything, and just getting more upset with each other. I reach for some papers to look over something again, and she grabs my wrists and tells me not to touch those. I pull back and she does not let go, and suddenly we were face to face, and all I could think is, wow, I just want to duck her. And we kissed. We had very satisfying and very rough sex. After that we finished our project. We both started capitulating on a lot of points, got something finished, and turned it in. Then we never spoke again. I had met this hot goth girl at a sci-fi convention, but nothing happened between us at that time. Honestly, I did not think she even had interest in me as anything more but a friend. We stayed in touch, and saw each other on rare occasion at other conventions, outdoor festivals, and things like that. I could tell she was a freak from her social media. At the point at which I did known her about 8 years, I started to get a vibe that she was interested in me in a sexual manner, but she usually had a boyfriend, so it was not anything I could act upon. Plus she did not live exactly around the corner from me either. On the 10th anniversary of our first meeting, however, I was at the same sci-fi convention where we had met, and I knew she had very recently broken up with a boyfriend. I saw her around quite a bit that weekend, and had casual conversation and such, but at one point, on Saturday night, we were passing each other in the hallway, so I walked up to her, gently but firmly grabbed her by the ring of her choker, pulled her in, and stuck my tongue down her throat. I have wanted that for 10 years. Same. Then we kind of went about our con business. About an hour later, I got a text from her saying that she wanted me now, and to meet her by the con suite, where she proceeded to lead me into the con suite bathroom to give her a quick creepy. My married pastor. I had just moved to town and was looking for churches, visited one and the pastor was hot as duck. I normally like older women, but she was about 7 years younger, 28 to my 35, but I could not get over how hot she was. So when she came around after the service to introduce herself, I asked about getting coffee that night to learn more about her church. She says no problem because her husband can watch the kids. We ended up smashing about 3 times a week for the next 4 months until her husband found out. She got fired and I never saw her again. 9-10 would smash again. Why all need Jesus? I was hanging out at my place with a girl I did known for many years. She happens to mention that she had never seen the Spaceballs movie. I get the DVD off my shelf and we watched the movie without incident. It was the tickle fight afterwards where things started to heat up. We wound up doing the FWB thing off and on for a couple years before she moved out of the area. A working girl in the Philippines when I was in the Navy. I never would have thought I would ever do that. I had never even kissed a girl, and I had lofty moral opinions at the time. I still feel shame about it because she might have been a victim of human trafficking for all I know. I didn't go out that night intending to do it, but I was a suicidally depressed virgin and she was nice to me, and things just happened. And afterwards I was like, who the duck am I? My ex-girlfriend's ex-best friend. She absolutely hated me during the relationship, but she definitely loved ducking me after we broke up. So vocal, so fun. My best friend's step-niece. She was older than him though. We were both really Mormon, and ended up spending a lot of time together alone after high school during our first year of college. We had also not had a lot of practice in saying no to other people, and horny teenagers gonna be horny. Hooked up with this woman I was absolutely head over heels for the day she graduated from college. I had just finished my freshman year. Apparently everyone at the graduation party knew we were gonna duck but me. I got really stoned and went to crash at like 4 AM. Cue doorbelling her at the door with a half-empty bottle of wine and, "You are really gonna leave me on my last night?" It was absolutely amazing until she hit me with the, "It is a good thing we did not do this earlier." I definitely would have caught feelings. My poor little 18-year-old heart could not take that. My best friend's crush on his parent sped out of town, with about 10 other people in the house sleeping. The best part was his grandma lived there and came out to get some water and saw us because the door was cracked open. Upon being confronted by his parents a few days later, he thought it was a mutual friend of ours and somewhat despised him for it for many years before it somehow came up in conversation that it was actually me. I did not know we had been seen until it came up years later. Luckily they had broken it off long before. I was 21 and working as an ice cream man. During the day before school let out we'd drive by all the businesses in town. Adults definitely buy more ice cream than kids. Anyway, this lady who owned a salon was always flirting with me. She was probably in her 50s but was pretty good looking. She told me I could come over and play in her hot tub and not to worry about staying to cuddle or anything afterwards. It was good. She hadn't even on a date in years and she said that whatever I did must have worked because she started getting asked out all the time. I guess confidence really does radiate. She was pretty well off and offered to take me on an island vacation, all expenses paid. I really would have, but I was on probation for getting caught with a bunch of weed when I was 19, so I couldn't leave the state at the time. I am just glad I could help her get her life back and I hope she finally found someone. A while back a couple of mates were working at the same music label and I did often catch up with them for drinks after work on Fridays. They frequented the same bar and there was always a mix of their workmates hanging out as well. And over time I got to know the regulars but would typically see some new faces, new hires, interns, out-of-towners. Got to chatting with one British chick. She was with the group and I did not recognize her but never really asked what she does for the label. And we got along well and she ended up coming back to my house for the night. I caught up with my mates for lunch the next day and they seemed more excited than I was. Turns out she did not work at the label, but is an artist on their roster. Apparently she was a big deal back in the UK and was starting to break here, so they brought her out for promo. To this day I could not name one of her songs, but she is a well-known name and is frequently on TV and ad campaigns. Apparently she asked about me when she came back for a tour a few years ago, but I was in a relationship so that was a non-starter. Shitty XGFS mother. She was super reserved and normal. She definitely knew I found her attractive. Every guy found her attractive. When her daughter and I broke off and stopped talking to each other, I thought things would go south between her mother and I. She was driving me home one night from work. We worked in the same place, different departments. She stopped by her place first and invited me up, told me the dog missed me. She assured me the ex was not home. Went up and one thing led to another, which led to a few weeks of hooking up, including once at work. The most unexpected experience I have had started as an ordinary night. We go out to bars with a group of friends and at the last nightclub ask some girls to join us for an after party. We play some drinking games, do shots and later on end up on the roof my friend's apartment block overlooking the city. We have a few cigarettes and beers up there. At around 6 a.m., one by one people start heading back inside until it's just me and two girls. There was a brief silence and just a stare into my eyes from one of the girls, so in the moment I took a chance and leant in. By this time I am so tired and intoxicated that I do not consider it a loss if this does not work, but it does. She kisses me back and starts making out with me pretty intensely. I feel her hand slide down my pants, starting to unzip. At this point I remember the other girl and look to see how awkward the moment is for her. It was her hand doing the unzipping. As she is on her knees, I give her a smile and a nod, so she takes it out and starts blowing me. After a few minutes the girl I am making out with pulls down her jeans, turns around and sticks me in her as the other chick lights a cigarette and sits there just watching. To this day that night was unforgettable for two reasons. This very fond memory I was given by these girls and something else I was given by one of these girls. Both were very unexpected. I had sex with a guy that was extremely obese. I have nothing against obesity, but because I am so short and don't weigh much, we didn't make the best match. I like guys to lay on me, but he couldn't because he could crashed me, so he would sit up on knees and that way. LOL. Also, if I got on top of him, I had his stomach blocking my view of his face. I had to slide down really far away from his head to get on his penis. It's hard to describe, but the sex was just difficult. However, he was really good at oral. I've only had two guys ever be good at oral, which both were unexpected to me. One was this guy, which considering how hard it was for us to have sex, I didn't think he would please me orally. Also, he was only 17-18. What guy or girl at that age knows how to properly give oral? Granted, I knew he was a really big player, so I knew he had a lot of partners before me. I guess that's another that makes this unusual, because I was the unpopular girl that people either bullied or didn't pay attention to, and he was this popular guy. Anyways, the second guy was this older man in his 50s that wanted me to participate in TGE. He would brag about all the money he had and say other things he thought I wanted to hear, so definitely was not expecting him to know how to give oral. On a last note, the guy who was obese was black as well, which for obvious reasons, this made our relationship unexpected. Someone even told me that I was dirty, and now couldn't get with any other race because I had sex with him. That was the only black guy that was obese that I've been with. Somewhat a famous girl in the scene of my hobby. She was from the opposite side of the country and we met through common friends on one of her visits. She was cool and we talked a lot, but at the time sex dating just wasn't on my mind at all, so I wasn't chasing anybody. She came to visit again and said we should definitely hang and go to a bar. Bar turns into drunk, turns into hey, you wanna stay at my place. It was cool but didn't work out since we lived 5,000 miles away from each other, and didn't have much else in common aside from our hobby. This is the typical one, but seemingly innocent and boring CO worker of mine, like wore the most modest clothes and looked like your typical suburban daughter. She invited me to the bar one night with a bunch of our co-workers, and as we were leaving and away from everyone else, she whispers in my ear that she wants to duck. We hooked up for a couple months but weren't looking for a relationship. She was the most down for anything partner I had. Blew my mind. My aunt, not blood related, married my dad's brother, pretty ducked up, but always found her very attractive when I was growing up. Fast forward to when I was 19, home from college. My parents had a Christmas party with the whole family over. I snuck out to the pool to smoke a joint after dinner. She was sneaking a cigarette around by the shed. We were both in the Christmas spirit and had a few drinks but just got to small talk. She asked how college was going and asked if I was courting any pretty ladies, to which I drunkenly replied yeah, but not as hot as you lol. I don't know how or why I said it, but the next thing I know I am ducking my aunt in my backyard behind the shed 50 feet from our family inside. The whole thing lasted less than 10 minutes but it felt kinda surreal. We've never talked about it, nor have I told anybody about it. Today I learned now. This was 3 years ago. We've had a few family get-togethers since then, and we both act like we always have. Still greet her with a hug and kiss on the cheek. In my head I guess I just chalk it up as a random little drunk Christmas party duck, but I haven't been able to look my uncle in the eye ever since. My very first girlfriend from middle school, at the time we had never even kissed. Her parents found out she had a boyfriend and we had to break up. She moved away the next year and we had no more contact. It wasn't until my third year in college when she found me on Facebook. Turns out she lived 45 minutes away from where I was going to school. On move-in day she met me up there, helped me get unpacked. We were hanging out in the dorm afterward and she took my pants off and we had sex. She called me a couple times after for a booty call and then we never talked again. My friend's ex-girlfriend. It was kinda expected and unexpected at the same time because I wanted to bang her so bad but never thought it would ever happen. And to be honest, there was nothing serious between them, and the friend of mine we are not hanging out anymore was a jerk to her pretty much all of the time anyway. I kinda manipulated her at the time she was with him and she eventually became interested in me. She told me that later after the whole incident between me and her. Long story short, after they broke up, I gave a visit to her place for a totally random reason, and since I drove a long way 200 kilometers she insisted me to stay overnight all by herself. I was supposed to sleep on the couch and leave the next morning, but for some reason she told me we can sleep together because we are friends, and she was not in the mood getting out all the blankets and stuff for me to sleep on the couch. I knew what was gonna happen and I took the opportunity. One the best ducks I've ever had, to be honest. We were ducking for next 2 months regularly and one day we just stopped talking for a pretty dumb reason. Glum here. When I still went to school in America, I am British, but Sound American only moved to America at 15. I knew this girl, she was also British, she was the nerdy girl, always first to class, first hand up to answer the teacher, always did her homework during break, always had her hair in a neat bun. We would hang out after school. She was a very fun person to be around. We both caught feelings, we slept together. She was a freak, always wanted me to eat her pussy and ass, and she always wanted to have an FFM threesome. She wanted to do it everywhere, at her house, my car, her car. We started dating after being FWB for a few months, dated for 2 years, went back to FWB, then back to just friends. 3 years later, we moved in together along with some friends in separate apartments. Went back home to England. She gave me subtle hints I didn't pick up. Few weeks later, back in America, she wants to watch a movie. She gets closer, jumps on me, starts making out with me. We have sex. Back to dating. Fast forward 2 years and I am thinking of proposing. My ex-boyfriend died just 1 year ago. A couple of years after we were together, his brother and I grief-docked, and we became addicted to the sex. I developed feelings. Turned out he was in a 7-year relationship. He was awful to me after that for digging and figuring out the truth. But I felt so mesmerized, wanted him so bad, wanted to be wrong so bad. But sometimes I just still want to the pain and wait for life to be ducked right out of me. After we are done, it's like some sex magic healing is that takes place. But he destroyed me. The temporarily. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.